moms have this tendency to like take everything on ourselves because we're like, nobody can do it better than us, right? And a lot of times that's really true. Like, I think even Mark.
It's true.
I mean, I was like, he can't answer any other way. I'm putting him on the spot here. But also, like, I mean, it's true.
Stop living your old life when your doctor, who is the only one that you can really listen to and trust, says you can live your life this way. Like, at all costs, if your value is to live a more free life, which is my value, you have to fight for yourself to actually have that.
For the men, you don't want to add to the burden. And if you're not helping, you're adding to the burden. You're just another person at the restaurant that doesn't understand.
Hi.
Hello,
And welcome to EpiPod. Sarah is a mom to 2 little boys with food allergies.
And Danielle has navigated life-threatening allergies her entire life.
Living with an invisible health condition is so isolating.
The fear and the anxiety.
Trying to cover it up so you don't affect anybody else.
Especially your kids. Sound familiar?
Join us on the couch and take a load off with people who just get it.
We're so glad you're here. Welcome to EpiPod.
Presented by Lorissa's Kitchen.
We're talking about food allergy, parenting, and marriage today.
Yes.
And Mark and I definitely talk about these like collective decisions, like how are we going to manage this? How are we going to do that? And so I think it'll be fun to hear from him and his perspective on like, how does he feel? Does he get anxious? Does he, just naturally carry a lot of the weight in our family, or does he feel like he has to do it because of me? I feel like it'll be interesting to hear his side of things, because I mean, it's tricky. We hear a lot of times from parents that like they don't necessarily feel as supported as they'd like to, and they take on a lot of that, like food allergy anxiety.
Or some people are hearing from their partner that they want to support them more, but they don't feel comfortable relinquishing any of the control because they've been the one being what's the circus person in the middle?
I'm thinking of a conductor, but
okay, conductor. They've been the conductor.
Yeah.
The ringmaster.
There you go.
They've been ringmastering all of the allergy things. So it's hard to, even when it's your partner who you love and trust, but it's hard to let anyone in. Okay, I say we let him into the studio.
Let's do it.
Okay. Lorissa started Lorissa's Kitchen in 2016 with a simple mission to bring better, healthier options to the meat snacks category. However, after the birth of her 3rd child and several challenging years helping him work through a laundry list of food allergies, she knew it was time to take that mission to the next level by providing these same high-quality, healthier options, but now to ensure that they are certified free from the top 9 allergens.
Lorissa's Kitchen is so proud to announce the first ever and only Menu Trinfo certified free from the top 9 allergen meat snack on the market. Check out LK on Amazon or their website, lorissaskitchen.com. That's LORISSAS kitchen.com. And you can use the code EpiPod for 15% off.
Also, they're available in Sprouts. Welcome, Mark Fry, to EpiPod, aka Allergy Dad Extraordinaire and Sarah's husband.
Yes, yay.
Thank you. Happy to be here and excited.
Thank you so much for coming.
I mean, I felt like there was no better person on a topic about like food allergy parenting or marriage. It's like, well, why not bring the hubs?
Why not bring the person you're married to?
That's right. Well, and because, I mean, we're by no means perfect. I mean, we have our things that, aren't perfect, but
everyone does.
Yes. Yeah. But like, I feel like we have a really good gelling of things when it comes to our kids, like we are on the same page with a lot of stuff. When it comes to food allergy, life in general, we find a way to split the workload and the worry as evenly as possible. Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
I also feel like we've been getting quite a few questions of people who are expressing like, most of them, well, all of them so far have been moms. Like, I am the allergy mom, and it's not that I'm not married to an amazing person, but I take the full allergy load. So I'm afraid to like give up some control and be like, how do you find the different roles that you each excel at and how you break it down? So I really want to hear like tactical advice and like your systems. But before we dive into that, why don't you just give us like a brief overview of you guys met in Louisiana?
Oh yeah.
So we both went to LSU, and it's a big football school, LSU Tigers.
Woohoo.
So we normally go to every home game, but away games just usually get together with friends or with the fraternity brothers and watch the game. So one of my buddies, Joel, was staying in town as well. So we decided to go watch it at a local bar, the Varsity. And he said he would bring his girlfriend and her roommate. And
wait, hold on. I didn't know. Joel told you that I was coming?
Yeah.
I had no idea when I walked into that bar that you would be there.
Wait, how many years have y'all been married?
I mean, going on 10.
You learn something new every day.
Yes. So,
Yeah,
okay. I didn't know that. So when Brittany, Joel's girlfriend, now wife at the time, girlfriend then, wife now, was my roommate. And she was just like, oh yeah, we're going to the bar. So I didn't know that like there was you or anyone specific there. But yeah, I walked in and Joel and Brittany were on one side of the booth, and then Mark was on the other side of the booth, and there was like an empty space. So I just like slid right in.
Sarah,
slid right in next to Mark.
You were set up with your future husband, and it's taken you 10 years to find out that they pulled one over on you.
I know. Oh my
Playing
God.
matchmaker.
That's
I love
funny.
this.
I don't know if it was a setup, but I mean,
it's the way it happened.
But it did work out. Yeah. From that point forward, we weren't like super serious in the beginning, but we definitely like hit it off, and we're always talking from then on out. And we like didn't want to be in a relationship because we both just gotten out of one. And anyway, then we couldn't help ourselves. So we just
that was 15 years ago.
15 years ago we met, and then we got married about 10 years ago. So we've been at this relationship for a long time.
I'm obsessed. Well, the first time that I met you, Mark, I went over to the house, and I had been over a couple times, but I don't know if you were upstairs or out of town or something, but it was my first time meeting you. And I think it was like second or third time we had hung out, and I walk in and you were like, welcome, come in. Mark is just finishing up the mare's milk. So, and I walk in, and it was like a science lab. You were like, just sit there. We'll be done in a second. And you guys were like full mad scientist mode. And you were like over a cauldron, like, and I was like, mare's milk? But it was for treatment. So that was my first encounter, was like, whoa, like you, and I'd seen it on Instagram, of course, but really like walking into what felt like the lab, I was like, oh my gosh, like these really are partners in this. And I think for how rigorous treatment is, but treatment aside, just being a food allergy parent and a caregiver to not one, but two who have different anaphylactic allergies, I can't imagine people who don't have that kind of partnership. So tell me, like, when you guys first found out about the allergies, were you guys always partners, or how did were you taking the lead, or was Mark taking the lead? And then, how did this all start? Or were you always hand in hand on it?
I don't know. I'm Mark, I'll let you jump in a minute, but like, I think for me, I always describe diagnosis day with Graham as like a tidal wave. Like it really hit me hard and fast, like immediate. And I went into full research mode. Like I was sad, but it was also like, okay, I need to know everything. I need to like figure all of this out.
You were investigative reporter, Sarah.
Yes. Yeah. And so I don't know. Like, I don't know that we've ever actually talked about that. Like, what was your immediate, like you got the news and then what? Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't know that and this is probably true for a lot of allergy parents, is I don't know that I knew the gravity of the situation. Like, I just was like, okay, this is a new thing that we're going to have to deal with, and things will work their way out as we go. But I didn't know like how big of a thing and how serious it was going to be until we really kind of like started getting into it and making those realizations. Oh, we can't do this anymore. We can't go here anymore. We can't, all the normal things that was when that was more when the revelation happened for me, was like a little bit more over time.
Yeah.
Was that like when a big reaction happened?
Yeah.
Because that's sort of like how it happened for me. Like, and it took into my 20s where until I had something where I was like, oh shoot, this is actually life threatening. Like this is very severe. And it literally, it's 10 years to realize, 20, I guess it was 4 or 5 years. But yeah, I feel like for a lot of people, it's when a big event happens versus just like more mild reactions. So
yeah, I mean,
is that what you mean?
Graham's first reaction was not like huge. You know, he didn't have anaphylaxis the first time. So I think we were still in discovery mode when we went to the allergist and like got that information. I think because I was, you know, reporter, you know, person at the time, like right when he had his first reaction and we realized it was likely like the peanut butter that caused whatever was happening, like I already was probably researching. And so I think I had more of like the tidal wave effect when we got the like confirmation from the doctor. And I think you maybe didn't do that initially. So it was more just like step by step realizing, wow, this has changed our life. Like everything is different now. Because the other thing too is when you're a baby, right? Like you can bring that baby, even if they're allergic to places, because they're not necessarily even moving around. So like you have full protection over them. And then it's when they're a toddler or you start going to restaurants or being more social that you're like, oh wait, like this is going to change everything.
Oh wait, they're going to put everything in their mouth.
Yes. Yes. And then school stuff too, right? Like it goes from being just bottles that you're bringing to daycare, which I was always breastfeeding. So it was like, well, here are our bottles, you know, to feed them. And versus then they start eating food at daycare and other kids are eating food too. Cause again, like that's the time when you start introducing food to kids. And so that's when, again, everything changes. It's like, okay, well, we need to sit down with the daycare people. We need to do like the to-do list just started growing. And I think going back to your original question, Danielle, about like, how did we always kind of evenly split or what? Like, I think part of it is that is working so well because one, are just personalities in general. Like Mark is a doer type of person. Also his job, right? Like I think it all makes a difference. If your job is, if you were like a police officer or a heart surgeon or something and had weird, crazy hours, I understand in those relationships that it's not always going to be 50-50 when it comes to like organizing things or planning things or making a to-do list and checking them off, you know, but we had a situation where we could be more like that. I also just think we have a like open communication line always, like we've always been very like open, talking about everything.
Yeah, I think communication is like the key, because if you're feeling more burdened or that you're taking more of the load, you need to let me know so that I can adjust and shift upward.
Yeah.
So like,
and I think you've always been involved. I think that's a big thing, is that moms have this tendency to like take everything on ourselves because we're like, nobody can do it better than us. Right. Totally. And a lot of times that's really true. Like, I think even Mark,
it's true.
I mean, I was like, he can't answer any other way. I'm putting him on the spot here, but also like, I mean, it's true.
Well, especially when they're
world.
Yeah, when they're babies, like the babies always want the mom. Like you're their source of food. You're their oftentimes more soft. Like,
I mean, they literally grew in our bodies, you know? So it's like, there's that connection there. So it's easy to like feel that way and want to have that like control over it. Like, here's this big thing. I know I'm the best person for the job, so I'm going to handle it all. And then the husband kind of feels like they don't have to do something. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, you know, there's this weird like division, and then the husband's not doing as much. And then the woman's like, wait, why aren't you helping me? And it's like, well, but you know.
And you know what I mean, as somebody who's never been married, I can totally see how, especially with something like food allergies where the stakes are so high, if somebody has been handling, like this has lived on their plate for X amount of months or even years. If I was the person who it hadn't been living on my plate before, I would be like, dang it, like you're the expert. I really, not even like, I want you to take more of the load. It's just like, you have kept this little person safe for this long because you're an expert and like this has lived on you. Like, why break it if it's not broken? Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So I can see why and how these patterns gel so quickly and not for the best.
I think, like I said, that is definitely true. And I think the difference is that like from the beginning, we've kind of not always been that way. Like I've been somebody who's like, okay, yes, I might carry X, Y, and Z, but like, then you can do these other things, or I need your help, or this is how I'm feeling. So I think in some ways that has helped. Just that was like the basis, our foundation before we even learned of this, right? I mean, but then there have been times whenever I've gone to you and said like, I need help. Like I need you to take this. And it's not always the allergy thing. It might be something else in our life.
Yeah.
What is how do you feel about that? Like whenever I've come to you and said that, or like as the father perspective or like the husband perspective?
Usually I feel bad, like I wasn't doing enough. And all I feel is that, yes, I want to help. Like I see that you're struggling, and what can I do to help?
Yeah.
So it's never easy to receive feedback like that, but it's needed so that you can know how you can do better. And
there's this, that's so sweet.
I know he is. I'm telling you, I really picked a good one, y'all.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. There's this Brene Brown interview that has made its way around the internet. And I believe she's on a podcast, and I've seen different clips from it. I will find it and we will put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But she talks about how she and her husband sit down and they say, I don't know if it's daily or weekly, but they do it in percentages. Like everybody does it differently. And you guys have such a open line of communication. Like we'll end the podcast or we'll end having wine or whatever. And it's like, gave him this, like treatment done, he's in bed. The way that you guys communicate is like always back and forth. But for some couples, maybe that's not the way they operate, or the way their jobs are, like you were saying earlier. So we'll link this, but the Brene Brown interview, I love how she and her husband talk about in percentages, where she's just like, I'm mourning the loss of a parent. Like I literally only have 10% to give right now. And he's like, okay, I'll take 90. And then when they meet again, not sure if it's daily or weekly, it will be in there, where she's like, okay, like I'm good. I've got 60. And he's like, okay, I literally only have 10. All right, then what are we going to cut? We're ordering out, which doesn't work for food allergy people. Yeah. We're not going to practice at La Crosse right now. And we're saying we're canceling those plans this weekend so that we together don't have 100%. How are we going to skim by until we can make up those percentages again?
Yeah.
But also, you guys have always had full-time jobs. And have you both always worked at home?
No.
Because you were out in the field reporting.
Yeah, until I think since diagnosis to when I left that job, it was about 3 months. So it was pretty quick turnaround where I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then I wasn't from home before the pandemic for at least a year or so. I was, like in South Austin for work. So he was in daycare. And then, you were at Firefly, a like rocket company, right? I mean, so you were...
for the first 3 years was all in office.
Wow.
And then the pandemic hit and we went to fully remote for a year, then back to like a few days a week in office.
Yeah. I don't know how we did it.
when we're talking about different parents' jobs, I can totally see how the mom can take on 100%, or whoever's at home, whether it's work remote or they're full-time at home. Yeah. Caregiving, of course it's going to live on their plate, whoever's at home. And if somebody's in an office and then they come home, and how does that, now it goes to 50-50, like that's a little confusing.
Yeah.
So I can really see how some of the parents who have written in can be like, oh, my husband, nothing can live on his plate because he's at the office all day.
I wonder, like, I think about, and I think we could even do a better job at this, Mark, but like one thing we do fairly well, I think, is we divide up like tasks. So if there's something that, like, I don't know, we have like appointments to book for, like dentist appointments or allergist appointments, or there's a form that needs to be filled out for school. Like we kind of we chat about it, or like one of us brings it up to the other. I mean, usually me, like I'm usually like kind of the general organizer, which again is why like
That's what you're best at.
right. And I think like at the end of the day, for the most part, like moms, women do take that little extra percentage always. Like we're always going to carry a little bit more. Like for some reason, that is just the way, like me and pretty much every friend I've ever talked to, like that's the way it works. But I think it's partially on us to like, I go to you and I'm like, Mark, I'm forwarding you these 3 emails. I need you to fill them out, like school forms or something, you know, or allergy forms, or, hey, I need you to look up, find his, you know, fair action plan or whatever to send to the school. And like, I give him to-dos, like checklist things. And I hear like some of the women listening already in their head, like in the car, they're saying like, well, I don't want to have to give my husband to-dos. I want him to just like know how to do it and what to do. But we've talked about this, Mark, like, your brain just doesn't work like that.
Yeah. But like I'm super happy to like get those things and do them. And we need more help knowing like where can we help more.
Yeah. Like
could I do a better job at like noticing things before and taking on tasks and finding them before you have to ask me? Probably. But
there's always has to be kind of a person who is the ship captain.
Well, that's
you know
what
it
is in like a corporate world.
Yeah.
Like somebody's always
there's a CEO, you know, and then you have your other top officials. You're just you're one of my top officials, but you're okay with that.
Yeah. It's like, well, there's other things in our life that I'm more
the CEO.
on top of.
Like, yeah.
So like,
I mean, our finances, like I know generally about them, but like he's like the one checking in, making sure like X, Y, and Z is paid. You know, you're so right, Mark.
Yeah. So we cater to our strengths. Like I'm cool with spreadsheets. You're not.
I hate Excel with a dying passion.
I just don't know how to do it. I'm like, oh, sorry, it's not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. And then
you're a mom, which naturally is inclined to be able to do more of those things and naturally falls into your lap.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm okay with that. Like that's, but I think maybe
as long as you're okay with it and we talk about it and the way our system works out, and you know, that's what's important. But if you're over here like thinking, you know, hurting inside and like wishing I would be doing more, then that's not good. So, but I think, you know, we're on the same page. We talk about it. It's split up in a way that works for us.
Yeah.
Talk to me about like what are things, you guys are under a lot of stress right now in treatment, especially like you guys are you're saying mom trenches, you guys are in treatment trenches. And I feel like you're starting to see the light. You're getting some permissions and some freedoms back, but it is a grind. So talk to me about things that make it survivable. And for people who aren't in treatment, maybe this will apply to them too. Just, you know, it's a grind to be a caregiver to people with allergies. So
yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, it is just that. It's a grind, and the systems that you put in place is what will save you. So like at the beginning, coming up with weekly checklists and once you have those checklists and know what you're going to do, then prepping things ahead of time so that you're not always prepping each individual thing. The systems, and then the way we've done the treatment, like a lot of times, like I'll do a lot of the morning stuff because I'm up earlier, and I just, you know, go through our list and
knock it
bam,
out.
bam, bam. And then in the afternoons, Sarah would pick up with the dosing more. But yeah, just figuring out a system that works to where you're not going to like miss things, and it takes a lot of stress out of it if it's all regimented.
Yeah. I've talked about it on here before, but from the beginning, from before we even started treatment, I knew it was going to be a grind. And I remember coming to you and saying, we have to find a way to make this doable, like stress wise, but also like as fun in quotation marks as we can. Do you remember that? I mean, I remember at the very beginning saying like, we need to just have nights where, yes, we're doing like treatment prep and stuff, but we're going to open a bottle of wine and we're going to turn on the music and we're going to like try to do our best to make this like not as miserable. And I think, again, like from the beginning, having that conversation with you so that like our expectations, your expectations as well as mine were set for what they were going to be. You know, like I didn't go in, sign up for this treatment program and then tell you later, like, hey, by the way, we're going to need to do X, Y, and Z. It was like, before we even decided to get into treatment, it was like, hey, this is going to be a shit show sometimes. Like this is going to be really hard, take up a lot of our time. Like, are we on board? Are you okay? You know? And then like,
and even before that, it was like researching whether we even do this. Like, there was a considerable amount of time before even knowing what the full program was going to be, like reading reviews, reading, you know, papers, reading other people's comments on it.
But then, once we decided to do it, like really talking through, like, what is this going to look like? How can we make it bearable? And then how can we like have a little bit of like fun, again, in quotations, because it's like, it's not fun. It's not like we'd much rather be sitting on the couch and talking, having a glass of wine. But like, if we have to be scooping little bits of nuts into tiny jars, like, shouldn't we try to at least have some sort of connection during that time?
Inject yourselves into the situation versus just like, okay, we have to get this done and it's going to suck. And then we can have our life back. It's just like, nope, this is our life.
Yeah.
Just like everything, there's sucky parts and there's not sucky parts, but like Sarah and Mark still exist in this grind.
Yeah.
That is who they are. Tell me about date nights. Of all the content that I see in Sarah's world, date nights are my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, when did we start that? 2022, I guess. 2022, 2023. Yeah, because we're in 24 now. But yeah, we really, really wanted to like go on frequent date nights, but we always kept like running into things, or like things would come up or something would fall through. And it wasn't like, it was a priority, but not like enough to actually like make it happen. And so each year, I remember before that, we tried to do it, and it never really happened until we were like, okay, it's our New Year's resolution, like 2022, we are going on monthly date nights. And so we have, for like all of 2022, 23, and now 24, we like once a month go out on the town. What do you think? I mean, I can say it too, but what do you think that has done? Or like, do you think it's been helpful for us, like our relationship?
Yeah. I mean, I think every couple should be going on a date night at least once a month. So I love our date nights, and it's like what we used to do together, you know, multiple nights a week for, you know, before kids, when we were in Austin, that was our thing. So it's like monthly to get back together and do that.
Eat all the allergens.
Yeah.
And to not be like food allergy parents in that moment. You know what I mean? Like
it's time to like relax, and it's just us. And
I
can
highly
imagine.
recommend.
What's that?
I was just saying, I highly recommend.
Yeah.
I
can imagine though, for the mom or dad listening to this being like, okay, great. Yeah, I'd love to go on a date night. I'd love that. But how do I leave my food allergy kid at home? Or how do you even like get to the point where you can be like, okay, bye, mom, dad, or we're going to go out on a fire crawl or, you know, whatever. So can you talk me through like how you even got there? Or was that hard to, scheduling aside, because that's a whole other hairy in and of itself, but like, it sounds so dreamy. How did you get there? Yeah.
I mean, I guess when we first started, did we have Camille yet?
I think we probably did. I mean,
okay. Camille was our nanny. So when Ethan was born, I did not want to have to put him, we had put Graham in daycare from like the very beginning, like basically 13 weeks old. And it killed me. Not saying it's wrong or bad. We did it, but it just was like, I won't do that again. I'm not dropping my baby off again at like a center.
Yeah.
And so I said, we're going to nanny, and we found like the best. Well, first we had another one. She was great too, but like we found our like dream nanny. She was amazing. And she worked for us for like, I don't know, almost 2 years maybe. But from the time Ethan was real little. And so that's, I guess cause he was born in 2020. So yeah, and we started in 2022. So it would have been Camille. And she so our nanny, who we already was with the kids all the time, is so for us, we didn't have to like go and seek somebody out. Now we did find the nanny via like Sitter City or like a care.com type situation. I had looked on like Facebook groups and things, but she actually has celiac. Okay. So already was like kind of more aware.
She knows what cross-contamination can do.
Yes. And then I think like we just, as food allergy parents, I don't know about you, but I mean, maybe it's food allergy moms out there will know, but like, there's just like a gut, like a vibe check on people, like where you know or you don't, like if they're going to be taking things really seriously or like want to learn and understand. And she was immediately. And so, yeah, we pretty much lined her up. Like we were like, are you down? This is our goal. Are you down with this? Can we steal you for an evening? Or like we would have her come later that day and then just stay later, you know, and we'd go out early. But also like sometimes before, when we were nervous about bedtime and stuff or dinner time, if it wasn't Camille, we would put the boys down and just go out late. So like our boys, you know, when they're little, they go to bed at like 7:30 at that time probably. And so that's still, you can still go out after that, you know?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sometimes I'll leave the house at 10 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would not survive.
Not anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
Yeah. Just that it probably like worked out that we decided to do that, and we had Camille at the time. So it was easier than maybe someone who's like, oh, I want to do that, but I don't have. But I mean, it's just got to find the right person that you can feel comfortable yourself with.
And we have found a couple others, and I think it's like talking to them, getting almost like when I call a restaurant, like getting that vibe check from the beginning. Like, do they actually know anything at all about allergies? Like, are they taking this seriously, even just the conversation? And you can rule people out pretty quickly. I would say the biggest thing is like, just start somewhere. Like, don't just say like, well, it's too hard, I can't do it, I'm not going to find anybody, you know, like start trying would be my.
Yeah. And like, we don't just like decide day of, we're like a month ahead. We're like getting the sitter, and then a week or two out, we're like booking a restaurant.
Nice. So that's so much planning.
It is.
Yeah.
But I mean, story of our life.
But it's worth it once you get to that day and you're like, all
we're
right,
all
here
set.
we go.
I love it. Well, now you don't have Camille, right? So are you using her still just for date night, or are you more dipping your toes into like, okay, they have this sitter and we also have this sitter and we also have this sitter? Like, there's still so little. Yeah. How does that work now?
We have a couple.
Yeah. We still use Camille, and then we have a couple other sitters, and one's Alani. Is we actually in the program. That
So one of the girls who she's just graduated high school, so she won't be here anymore. But she is in the program, like in the TIP program. TIP. Yeah, and so me and her mom are friends on Instagram, and then she like also like gave us goat's milk or mare's milk one time like when we like ran out. Like I was like driving up to her house, I'm like, hello. Tip moms, allergy moms in general, like we'll do anything, you know, for each other. But
oh my God.
Yeah. So anyway, she was like, and this is my daughter. And anyway, we met her, and she was like, I was like, do you babysit? So literally like they're in the same program. Like there's no one who knows the program more than her, because she's in it, and she babysat for us for a while. So that was like a dream.
That was just luck.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Sure. You're not that you're like wanting to pay for another kid's tuition, but like, what if you stay in Austin? We'll pay for your tuition.
Yeah, exactly.
It's worth it for once a month date night. You can bump it up to once a week.
Yes. I know. I think it's just a matter of like throwing your not name in the hat, but like making sure that you're like attempting it, you know? Because I don't know. I think for us, like we are very, again, communicative. Like we hang out at night together after the kids go down, already, but like just getting out and not having to be like a food allergy parent, not even having to pour our own glass of wine.
Yeah.
Like it brings us back to the time when like life was less complicated or when it was less hard and stressful. I was gonna I don't know that we've talked about this, but like do you ever, like I have dreams talking about like stress and anxiety and stuff when it comes to food allergies. Like I have dreams about things happening to our kids or like these like intrusive thoughts sometimes that come into my head. And are you anxious at all about food allergies?
Only in like specific scenarios, like if we're at a place and someone's got like, or I was thinking back to when Graham started daycare, like, okay, now he's in a room that's filled with powdered milk.
Like formula. Yeah.
So things like that are what pique my anxiety, or like the person next to him at the birthday party is like got the regular cake and they're like spreading icing all over the place and
being a child.
Those things is when my anxiety is naturally heightened, but
more situational.
Yeah. It's not, I don't really have dreams about it or like intrusive thoughts necessarily. And
I want a medicine that will make that in my brain.
I know.
Not
That's
about
epic.
that. I have plenty of other anxieties.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Stuff,
but I wonder why. Like, I wonder why do you think it's because you don't think about it as often as I do? Because I do handle more of the like kind of, I don't know, but then I don't. I mean, I would say at least with treatment, you and I are like pretty 50-50. I mean, he's the one making all the charts and printing them out in the morning. I mean, he does a lot of that stuff.
Well, and I mean, even like when Graham started a new camp and I went and talked to the teachers and had to explain everything to them. It was the first time he was going to be there.
But I texted you to make sure you remembered to say something. I texted him what to say. So like, and it's like, that's not to say like, oh, Mark couldn't handle it, but like.
You're hand in hand.
Yes, we're hand in hand. And I think that like, again, I think sometimes like they want you to help them. Like they want you to, right? I mean, like he's over there being like,
well,
no, but like I feel like
I mean, I'm going to ask for the help that's there.
What do you mean?
Like if in general, you're better at communicating, obviously. So if I'm like not sure exactly what to say, I'm going to ask you. And get that. And I'm just, I myself don't love confrontation. So like, I feel like you're more comfortable with that. So if I have like a script going in, I'll do better. But yeah, in that classroom setting and stuff too, I was going to say like, that's another time when I'll feel the anxiety of like food allergies is like, are they listening to what I'm saying? Like, do they really get it? Like, I told them only food from his backpack, and like, are they going to adhere to that? That's when I worry about it, when it's right there.
Yeah. What would you tell? We've answered this question, I think, in some way, or I have on the podcast, but like for a mom who would say like, my husband's super active, like in our life, like he's not like a deadbeat dad or anything, but like, I just have handled thus far, like all of the food allergy things. We're about to start treatment or something's coming up. And like, I really feel like I need his help. what would you tell, like if you were in a room, like talking to either that person or that fellow food allergy dad, do you have any like words or like ideas of how that situation could be better or how they could kind of divide things up? Like, what do you like or not like about the way that I kind of ask you for help?
Yeah, everything about our situation is great.
5 stars.
She's not paying me to say this.
I'm not, no.
To the mom, I would say you just really have to ask for help. That's the only way, if he's out there busy and tunnel vision, you just have to ask for help.
Men have, at least this man has such tunnel
know
vision.
that it's going on.
Yeah.
And then, for the men, what I was thinking about on the way over here was you don't want to add to the burden. And if you're not helping, you're adding to the burden. You're just another person at the restaurant that doesn't understand. You're a parent that's not fully understanding. You want to take on the burden and lift with them.
I love that so much. That's a beautiful way to put it. Like another person that in a way the food allergy parent or mom in this case would have to take on and take care of and educate.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not adding to your plate. I'm going to help you lift it.
And maybe that's something in a very aggressive way that like people in situations where it's not as evenly split or don't feel like it's as much of a team kind of coming at it from that way. Like, hey, like I feel really like, I feel like I already have a lot going on. I already have a lot on my plate that I'm like managing, both like actually managing and then like mentally managing. And I need like your support. I don't need to like explain anymore. So like if you could take it upon yourself to kind of, I don't know, either ask the right questions, offer your help, like look things up online, find some way to like truly understand food allergies. I don't know.
So something that I noticed, like when you're traveling for work or when Mark was traveling for work, like it seems, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that in all scenarios with food allergies, you guys are interchangeable. Like, yes, it's ideal for 2 parents to be home doing the dose, especially on an up dose day, but alone, like if for whatever work or whatever reason, Sarah, you can be like, okay, Mark, tag, you're it. You have to go to California for this appointment, or you have to do the dose at home, or you have to prep the maintenance. Like you guys are interchangeable. You could do it all, if need be, yourself and then like tag back and forth.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I feel that way.
Because I can't imagine if not. Like if truly, if you had
have to know, you have to be able to do it all, because like at any point in the day, things could reverse or flip flop, or I'm not feeling good. Can you do that?
Yeah. Did you just automatically think to yourself, like, I need to be that person? Like I need to be able to jump in and like steer the ship? Or did I ask you to? Or like, I don't remember if that's just kind of the way you are, the way we are, or if you had any kind of like realization.
I think with like the program being the way that it is, I took it on myself to know everything and to make sure everything is being done correctly by like both of us, because one wrong line on the checklist and you're giving too high of a dose, or
totally
like, so it's just,
and everybody's capable of a mistake. I mean,
right.
I can do a really good job but then screw up, so having that second person that can really like jump in or double check or just like make sure that we're doing it all correctly.
Or I mean, just like the thought of like 2 people scanning the body or like 2 people. If you're like feeling extra anxious that day, and be like, is that something to have another person there being like, I don't think so. It must be so comforting.
Yes.
So
I know.
nice.
I know. That's why we've talked about that before. Like you doing it by yourself, like that would be so hard. Cause not only is it happening to you, but like there's nobody else there to like double check you. So I cannot imagine. Yeah. It definitely makes a big difference having that second person there.
But I can't imagine like somebody having to do it alone all the time, to only have themselves to be like, yep, that's good. Yep. That's what I think it is. Yep. I measured that right.
Yeah.
Like somebody to double check your work, even if you don't need 2 people on the job.
Yep.
Okay. Can't thank you guys enough for being such a good example, to all of the food allergy moms and dads out there. And Mark, I always tell Sarah, like, she's the food allergy mom that I really needed, like going through this time. So I don't know. I agree with him. Like you've become the food allergy mom to everybody.
I love that. Happy to do it. And thank you so much, Mark, for being on. I know this isn't your cup of tea necessarily, but I think it will help. And maybe food allergy couples can listen together.
Yes, I hope they do. And I think it's a perfect example of how you guys each have such different things that you bring to the table.
Yeah.
And thank you for going into that in such detail.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Cool. I love you guys together.
Oh,
I'm obsessed.
He is not like the most comfortable in like a public speaking scenario.
Well, that's why he wasn't a reporter.
Yes, but also not because he's not good at it. It's because he really likes to be like careful with his words and his thoughts, which I think is like really awesome. Sometimes I can word vomit, you know? He has no word vomit.
He's a very thoughtful person.
Yes, which is amazing, but also like I'm like sometimes he's so monotone. Like all of our friends always joke that he's like slow and like monotone, and I'm like, oh goodness, he's gonna be so nervous on the podcast. But I think he did great.
Oh, I think he did amazing. I'm so thankful that he was willing to take a calculated risk. Just kidding.
Yes. No, he really, I am so lucky to have him by my side. And I always hesitate to say lucky because I'm like, I didn't luck into this. Like I picked a stellar partner for my life, you know? So like pat me on the back, dude. But no, I mean, I do feel very grateful, I should say, that he turned out to be like even better and more than anything I could have imagined when I married him, 10 years ago. And in this food allergy journey, it's like so amazing to have a partner, a true partner in this. So yes,
maybe you should marry. Yeah. Maybe you should marry the cutie in the college bar after all.
That's right. Who you didn't know you were being set up with.
I love it. Yeah. USC was definitely not like a dating campus, and it was very rare for people to be like dating somebody.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's funny.
To me, I'm like, wow, that's so unique.
Yeah. No, I feel like in the South, people, it's like,
yeah,
it was pretty, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people met their significant other in college, and yeah, we didn't plan it. That's for sure. Like in terms of like, we didn't think that we were going to be like this long-term thing at the beginning. And then here we are. Yeah.
I love it.
You want to hop into questions and answers?
Let's do it.
Yeah, brought to you by InchBug. Thank you so much, InchBug. They're a name label company, completely waterproof, and they have customizable labels for allergies. So you can put like what your kid's allergic to. Great for like camp or starting back to school for sure. Mm-hmm. These would be great on pretty much anything you're sending with your kid. So
love it. They are linked in the show notes, and there's a special code for y'all, EpiPod 25.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to go first?
I'll go first. Okay. Hi, ladies. I have a few questions about food allergies for you. Both of my boys have peanut allergies. At least they both have the same one.
Yeah, that's true.
Do either of your boys self-carry at school? My oldest will be in 2nd grade, but he is always forgetting it everywhere. We are struggling with getting more than 1 pack of EpiPens or AviQs to leave 1 at school and to have 1 at home. Have you ever heard of an AviQ saying has been used, but it has not?
Yeah. So there's a couple questions in there. I've heard so many people say they let their kids self-carry at school, and I think that's amazing. I think it's really good for the kid to learn how to really do that. I personally, though, I'm not ready to let Graham self-carry. I think it's very much kid by kid basis. Like you have to really know, and you do, like everyone knows their kid, right? So Graham is not, speaking of like thoughtful, he's very much like Mark in that like when he's thinking of something or like he has this idea or like he, I don't know, is brainstorming something, like he is the most thought out, like he's like really deep in thinking about how something works, or I don't know, but that is so good and so bad because he gets so tunnel visioned on something that if he's like actively doing something, he is not thinking about literally anything else. So I just don't feel like at newly 6, he is ready to remember, like if he puts it down somewhere. And now granted, you know, if you're wearing it, you shouldn't be like taking it off. But I could even see him being like, okay, I got to go to the bathroom, and like taking it off and leaving it in the bathroom. Totally. And then it's like, is the teacher really going to be on him about, well, where's your EpiPen? Is it underneath your shirt still? I mean, they don't, I'd rather the adult just be in charge of it full time rather than have to rely on them checking in on Graham at 6 years old carrying it. I don't know. It just feels like there's too much room for error right now, the way Graham is. Like, I just don't feel like he's ready to self-carry yet. So to answer her question, no, I do not like Graham self-carry. I've thought about it for first grade, but because of the way their school does loop year, so he has the same teacher next year as he did for kinder. So she's already like, we already have our systems in place.
Locked and loaded.
So I'm like,
that must feel so nice for you.
It is. I'm so excited.
Gosh.
But yeah, so I just kind of feel like let's leave it. Like let's not fix what's not broken. Is that the word? Is that the way to say it?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
There you go. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave it and then maybe reevaluate in second grade. I mean, eventually he needs to be able to carry his EPIs, but as a newly 6-year-old boy, I just don't think he's ready. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think an adult in that scenario can be responsible for it. You just have to get those systems in place to make sure. As far as her second part of the question, which was, like, have I ever heard of an epi, like saying it's already been used when it hasn't? Like, I'm wondering, she's talking about AviQ, so it talks to you. I'm wondering if she means that, like, when she takes it out, it says, like, this EpiPen's already been used. Or, like, I've never heard an EpiPen or a AviQ say that. So I don't know. Have you?
I have not heard that either. But I have, the one time I needed an EpiPen, I didn't even have a prescription for one. So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like this is sort of scenario where I don't want to take any chances. I don't care if I can see the fluid in there. Like, what if it won't inject, you know?
Nope.
Fresh one.
Get a fresh one. Yeah.
That's an AviQ thing. Be like, it's malfunctioning. Can you replace this for me?
Yes, that's what I would do. Yeah, contact them right away. And as far as getting a second one, because I think she said she's struggling to get a second one. I don't know. I think that there are different types of pharmacies she could reach out to. Maybe get a generic, like AviQ is wonderful. It's what I use, but also like there are generic options, and maybe for the second one, you just get a different kind of epinephrine auto injector, so that you have something, because something's better than nothing, even if it's not like the ideal one that you want. So I would ask your doctor, I would call around to different pharmacies, maybe call your insurance company, just see what can be done. Because having one at school that stays there and having one at home that travels around with you is, to me, the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, love it. All right, question 2. We passed baked egg. How do I feel safe having cupcake at a birthday party? So congratulations.
Yeah.
First of all.
So exciting.
That's amazing. Passing baked egg is like huge, especially if you don't have a milk allergy. Like if milk's not an issue, whew, you're like good. You're golden.
In the clear.
Yes. I mean, for the most part, except for, like you said, from bakeries, you had said like you still don't feel good about going because of the peanuts and tree nuts that they might use in the bakery. But like if egg is the only allergen that this person is dealing with, I feel like that opens up so many doors. Passing baked egg.
Yeah, because unless you're like a bodybuilder or a chef, like when are you going to touch a raw?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think in terms of like, how do I feel safe having the birthday cake or the cupcake at the party? I mean, I think maybe having like a longer conversation with your allergist might be helpful in that, like, hey, are there any limitations? Like just knowing for sure, like, okay, can I not have, like, what exactly can I have? What exactly can't I have? Like, is it any birthday cake would be fine, you know, or do I have to worry that certain birthday cakes, like, I don't know if it's a type of, you know, they make, is it like flan? Don't they use a lot of eggs? Or like if it was something like that,
like a lot of eggs.
Yeah, like
quantity.
But just find out from the allergist, like, are there any weird stipulations? And then just try to like baby step toward trusting them, you know?
I was going to say, so I feel like I'm in a similar boat where you have programmed yourself and your brain knows I have stayed alive and healthy and smiling this far because I follow these rules. They are carved into the inside of my skull and I do not break them. So now you're telling me, oh, let's try and erase those. And it's like, sorry, no, they're carved. They're in there forever. Yeah. It's really hard to go back and retrain your brain and retrain what you believe to your core has kept you well. So yeah, I would say you've worked, whether you're in treatment or your child has outgrown it, like you have been through the ringer and you have worked in all different kinds of ways to get here. So maybe it's just through aging and like waiting it out. Maybe it's through a treatment program, but you put in some time to get here. Stop living your old life when your doctor, who's the only one that you can really listen to and trust, says you can live your life this way. Like at all costs, if your value is to live a more free life, which is my value, you have to fight for yourself to actually have that.
Yeah.
And I think baby steps, like you don't have to go, okay, the first party, we're going to eat the cupcake and that's going to be that. Okay. We've talked to the allergist. We've double checked any stipulations, which if there were stipulations, he probably would have told you at the beginning, but let's just make sure.
You would think.
Just make sure. Okay, there's no stipulations. Great. We're going to have a pretend birthday party at home. Like we're having cupcakes for dessert.
Right.
It's Friday night.
Make your own. You're in a safe environment.
Yes, you're in your controlled environment. It's a normal cake. You've made it. And just build up. Like maybe this week you're doing it one night for dessert a week. Yep. Then maybe it's 2 nights for dessert a week. Then maybe set the goal and put it in your calendar. Next month, there's probably going to be a birthday party that will come up. And you're going to work your way up to next month being out in the wild and saying, it's okay to have that cupcake. So I think it's really hard for me to like, it feels like you're jumping off a cliff because to your brain, it is. But you don't have to necessarily jump off the cliff. Like maybe go to paragliding school first and then strap on the parachute and then go jump off the cliff. Like our brains tell us like this is death and it's actually like, no, this is like our new life.
Right. And and if you don't baby step toward it, then what was all that work and time for, you know? But I think you're right. Like even like making mini muffins at home first. So like, okay, for a couple nights this week, we're going to like have dessert and have this like little mini muffin of baked egg. Like, and then have like a full cupcake, you know? And yet, like you said, just tiny baby steps in a controlled environment and then rip the Band-Aid at some point, right? Like go to that birthday party after a few times like that. And I'm telling you, it's similar to like taking those calculated risks. Once you take them, it will go well and you will have this like little notch of confidence to where you will say like, okay, like I did it this time, I could do it again. And little by little, like your guard is still always going to be up. You're a food allergy mom. Like that is it, you know, like that never goes away. But at the same time, like it will chip away a little bit at the anxiety in those moments. And you're going to just feel like the hugest weight is lifted off your shoulders and your kid's going to sense that too. So it's important. I always say like on my Instagram page, like it's really important to be brave for our kids. Like it feels so hard, but we're not only doing ourselves a service, we're doing our kids a service by being brave.
Totally. When I passed almond, I've been avoiding almond my whole life. And that was, 2.5 years ago at this point. Maybe even oh God, it's a long time ago. But I remember like trying to bring up the will to like have almond butter. And I at first had like a girl in my building who I was friends with come and sit with me. And I would have just like a little tiny bit that like looked like one of the very early doses on the food challenge day.
Yeah.
And then like I eventually started making myself have it like like a almond butter slice of toast like once a week. And that was my duty. And now I cannot go a day without almond butter.
Yeah.
So you really can get there, and it's okay if it takes you some time.
Yeah.
Grace.
You will. You'll get there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sending questions. Please, we love answering them.
Yeah.
And so send them to epipodpodcast@gmail.com or send them to us on Instagram too.
And please don't forget to keep reviewing. If you haven't sent in a review yet, it really means the world to us. It makes our day every time we read them, but it really helps the podcast reach the ears of the people who need it. So thank you so much for your time.
Yes, and thank you to our sponsors, our question and answer sponsor, InchBug, and of course our presenting sponsor, Lorissa's Kitchen. We are thrilled to be partnered with a company who cares about being there for allergy families and being kind of a product, a brand that we can really trust.
And they are started by allergy families.
Right.
So
oh yeah.
we extra love them for that.
I know. Check them out at Sprouts or online.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, you all. See you next Tuesday.
See you next week.